So what you're saying is, you basically had nothing to do and set your alarm to wake up for this. Got it. Love it. Let's go. Alright. Oh yeah, let's do the morning stuff, then we'll rush off to that, because we need to go over here to Moodle, grab the thing from Moodle, and tell it to go in the whole thing there. Go back to Valencia City. Invest into the node there. Alright. Done, done, check and check. Stop, you stupid horse. So I can open this darn menu. Alright, let's just go ahead and grab all three, why not? Just doing a little extra credit assignment. Alright. Alright. Oops, I see what you're doing. Trying to butter up the teachers. I got it. Alright. My professor is giving me a late birthday present 5 days after my birthday and exam. Well, I mean, that's fair. Delete that and delete that. We are going to grab that, turn on that buff. We're gonna pop this, and I believe at this point we are get that on, get that on. 363 drop rate. All right, for the next 2 hours we have the best drop rate we can possibly get. So let's see what happens when I turn on night vision mode. Effects. So let's let the grind begin. Also, do we have a 100% Agris? No. Tomorrow. Alright, we got an Atanis element already. Item count. Move that right there. And now let's begin. Great. Oh yeah, and food. Not that that matters. But we at least have something, so we are now at 363.5. 363.5. But that's with night, so we're at 353.5, really. Because we're only gonna have 45 minutes of night. An exam. on week 4 sucks. I mean, I guess it depends on what you've been covering, though, is what makes exams make sense or not. You know? Like, that's really what matters in the end. Is what have y'all been covering? Depending on what that is, really determines a lot about exams, because it's more about, okay, we've covered this X amount of information, I want to make sure that they understand it. Chapters 1, 3, 13, 12, 13, and others. That's so random. Like, it's not even just, we're covering 1 to 15, 1 to 12. It is random chapters. Like, why aren't the other ones important? Is this one of those things where they teach you out of order of the book? Like, the teacher jumps around in the book and teaches you different... Oh my god, I would be so triggered. My OCD would be screaming at the teacher. Be like, dude, this thing has a book. Do you know how books read? Front to back. Please, dude. Read this thing. Front to back. Like, seriously. I couldn't do it. I could not do that. Oh man, I just finished writing a chapter for the light novel right before I got on, and I'm really excited to go listen to it and see it in its entirety. I think this one's gonna turn out really well. I'm super hyped for this one. Although the unfortunate part is it'll be some time before anybody reads these later chapters. Which is unfortunate. But it's all part of the journey. fog is starting to come up here in Polly's. It's always weird how daylight starts cracking here at like 2 a.m. I've always found that weird. But it's a game, I get it. You know, it's literally getting daylight. Like, it gets dark at 10 p.m. or like 9, 10 p.m. in the game. And then it has... from 9 p.m. to about 2:30, 2:30, it's dark. Like, I could turn my contrast down, and it would still be darkish, but it would still be, you'd still be able to see stuff. Like, it's fairly daylight now. Day lasts 3 hours, night lasts 45 minutes. I get it, because people don't want to log on and always be playing at night. I get it. Like, mundane things. Of why they did night as a 45-minute cycle. And we're talking 45 real minutes is what a night cycle is. So I think how we're going to approach this is we are going to do... we're going to do 2 hours here on this. And then, we will go back to town, drop everything off, and then we'll come back and I'll do a Agris run, which is, it's stupid to do it here, but I'm never gonna burn it, so I might as well burn it here. Burn it here, and we'll get an Agris run that's not added into the stupid bougie drop rate of this. Because I am at 100,000. And we'll burn that in like 40 minutes. But hopefully today we can get some good progress on the Atanis element. We're averaging 6.9 an hour is our current average. So, we're doing okay, but we're not doing nearly what is praised about this place at over 10 an hour. Consistently. We are not getting that. We are not seeing that. We're seeing spikes of it, but we're not consistently getting it. And it goes to say, that's, if you look at the actual tracked data, which I did pay for Garmoth for 1 more month. If we look at the tracked data, it doesn't show that. Good morning, sir. Good first half of the podcast. I totally didn't fall asleep with the laptop in my lap. Totally didn't happen. But I was there. I was present. I promise. I was a participant. yeah. Was good stuff, good stuff. Because I think I kind of knocked off around a little bit after your Harley Quinn rant is about where I think I blacked out. It was a little after that. Because y'all were talking about the Suicide Squad game, then you went and you were talking about the Harley Quinn thing, and that's where things start getting fuzzy. Yeah, I'll definitely be watching the other one. The other half once you get it posted. See what I missed. Kind of scrub around to the point where I'm like, all right, I kind of remember this, and then from there on out, I'll watch out. It's cool you have a friend that lives just right around the block that streams too. That's pretty fun. Pretty cool stuff. Get it up soon. Heck yeah. Nice! That's awesome. That's really good. Gosh, getting the sub button now is just so darn good. It opens up so many things that you just don't have access to on a normal account. Especially if you have like small, super supportive communities, you can get some pretty neat stuff now as affiliate. AKA the VTuber simp communities that go hardcore on like super small side streamers with you know, where where they don't pull in the traction, but they've got a few very, like, big supporters who will drop tons of cash on them. Yeah, they get some really cool stuff. Because they get that 70-30 split if they can hit the, they can actually hit the numbers, which is... I can't believe they actually did that for affiliates. Like, Twitch does some pretty sketch stuff. Oil Daddies, pretty much. Not even that. It's probably just some stan out on the street, literally working 2 jobs to make sure he supports his VTuber waifu. Like, there are a few of those. $70-30 has a lot of people subbing themselves. It's 100 subs consistently. Yeah. I think the highest I ever had was like 45 or 50. Or wait, hold on, no. What was the one? I think actually, hold on. Didn't Narama drop 100 bomb on me? Or I know he's done one monstrous one. I'd have to go look at actually how many it was, because he's done a couple different variations. But I want to say he did one day that put me over the... It was to push me over the limit to... get my extra emote slots. Yeah, I know the point system. Yeah, I have access to all that information on the back end. I can see all of that. Because there's stuff that I can see that's locked behind X amount of points or whatnot. There's somebody that I honestly don't... that I don't remember that has either chipped small amounts, but there is one person on my stream history who has donated 10,000 bits. And I'm trying to remember who donated 10,000 bits over my streams. I remember seeing a couple hundreds every now and then, a 5, some 10s. Heck, I even think I've seen 1,000, but a 10,000. You gotta get your consistency back. It'll happen, dude. I believe. I mean, honestly, you and your podcast thing is great. I really hope that takes off, because it's a lot of fun. I've gotten invested in other streamers. Hello there. Let the good times roll. Let the good times roll. Let the good times roll. How are you doing today? Good morning. We're back with the mass extinction of fungi here in the Forest of Polys. It is an outbreak, and it is my duty and citizen of this great world to help exterminate the ever-growing shroom population here. My reward is these shiny little golden egg-like things called Atanis Elements. And upon completion of my quest, I get 2 infinite potions of life. The potion to be able to do stuff, and the potion to be able to heal stuff. The great quest continues. Want to add some segments? Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, that's kind of how shows are written. Like, you really need to start thinking of your podcast like a TV show. And actually probably research how they do that stuff. Yeah, it's worth it in the end. It's just... blah. It's a lot of shrooms. It's a lot of shrooms till then. Because while we're nearing the end of one, we're still nowhere near the beginning of the other. And then the other one's gonna take me a couple days to get after we get the Atanis Elements. Because I've got to get the, leaves to do it. Watching you is the closest I will get to stepping back into BDO. That's fine. Live vicariously through here. Save yourself the headache. But if you want to come in and poke around, it's really not that bad. Especially with a free black star at the end of most people's roads. I completely understand the love-hate relationship here. If I didn't have a darn car invested into this game, I would probably have easily been able to walk away from it. But at the car point, it's kind of like, well, I guess I should. You know, mess with it every now and then. That's all it ever become. That's all it ever has been since I actually, like, quit. Because, like, this is the closest I've ever been to actually playing the game again. But I'm still on that point of... I play objective to objective right now. I don't count myself as a long-term player. So, like... I'll probably end up burning out after getting both pots. Army right now at Pilaku for the last piece of the map. Good luck on that. I need to actually go level up my I need to go level up my proper, quote-unquote, proper sulfur mine node. Because I always believed it was round sulfur works, because there's not a single place there in that thing that doesn't say round sulfur works when you're running around in it. I leveled up the wrong node. You're actually supposed to round up sulfur mine. So, I now have to go spend another 20 levels of energy leveling up sulfur mine. I barely played it because I didn't have a guild. A friend got me. Wait, where am I? Together, bought an Xbox at the same time, didn't have a PC. I see. Yeah, but you know it doesn't actually download 2 gigabytes. It downloads like maybe a few megabytes and then it's done. Alright, we can turn night vision off officially now, so we don't scorch our retinas doing this. Alright. Yep, Solar Raid's on its way. It's roughly about every 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Which means in about 2 weeks, there will be a Union Raid again. Yeah, I love when those happen. Because they're like, they just want to go in and they just want to get the base rewards and get out. I mean, to be fair though, scoring doesn't matter in that game mode. Like, I tried to point that out to Zoo, who was crying like a little girl one day about it. And about how annoyed he was getting at doing it, and I pointed out to him, like, dude, you do realize the difference between bottom 100, the bottom of the bottom, the top 100%, and the top 100 is only like 2,000, 3,000 currency. That's basically the difference in you doing all your co-op raids or not. That's all that is. But I get it, it's frustrating, especially when you do want to go compete for it. But if you want to compete for it, you need to get players, you need to do custom parties. That's the thing you need to do for that. Did some deeps, Overload 4 going wild. Oh yeah. Elemental Advantage works really well on Doro. You sent GIF for visual. Son of a bitch! I swear, Aaron! I freaking love those stupid videos. Max rewards, so happy. Yep, that's all you need. Hit level 9 and then just fail out. That's all you need to do. Did 52 mil. Nice. I need to actually do mine here in a little while. So I ended up doing one more out at Marnie, or to finish the Marnie Stone off yesterday. After dinner, got back pretty early, and I got one of the best rewards you could get out of it. I got a Duo Tungrad belt, so that made some money. Thought about going for the tribe, and I was like, nah. There's no point. Let's just save the money because we need to get, because that put me over the edge to get, the order up for our flame. So we have the 10 billion pre-order up on our flame now. So now everything is basically saving up for a Caphras purge. The only reason we're not going to do it is save any money we can, farm up all the Caphras between now and then, Spirit Dust. And when we get the flame, if we get the flame early, then we'll just start slamming Caphra levels into it. If we don't get it, then when we finish doing our potion, we'll buy the, and we need the and if we need the DP where we're gonna want to try to go, we'll pop the, stones into it and force it up. But till then, it's just saving silver. Saving our silver. Polys for elements. I did trees for 300 of mine. Sold trash for the other pot. Nice. I was doing trees. I have a level 20 Mirmok node. But everybody kept saying, just go to Polys, go to Polys, go to Polys. So I leveled up a level 20 Polys node, and I came here to see what it was about. And I mean, honestly, right now, the average is better than my Mirmok run. But I don't have the... time spent at Mirmok to get the actual, like, number. Polys is faster, I think, for elements per hour, but trees is way lazier. Oh, yeah, it is. Trees is a very comfy, easy, chill grind. So right now, my current average is around 6.9 Atanis Elements an hour. And, we're on our final 2 hours of testing, drop rate, and I am about able to conclusively say drop rate does not affect Atanis Element enough to even worry with. For the drop rate is for everything else. Because if drop rate was really that important to the Atanis Elements rate, you would see it in the higher end drop rates, which we've nearly done. I want to say we're approaching like 10, 12 hours on a 280 plus drop rate. We're doing right now 2 hours of 350. Yeah, 353 is what we're working on currently. And then once we're done with these 2 hours, I want, I'm gonna log this and, we'll, be doing a couple other things. I think we're gonna go try a lower drop rate, run. Hello there. How's it going, Omens? How you doing today? Second run did 70 mil. Nice. How's the grind going today? Just got back from work. Doing fine. Awesome. Taking my break from work right now. I'm gonna do this, hang out with you guys for a little bit, and I'm excited to go. Much as I want to spend time with you guys, I am excited today to go to listen to. I finished a chapter of my light novel, so I'll put it into my program that reads it back to me, and I'll get to sit and listen for about an hour and see what see how it really turned out in the flow of everything. Wow, you got a compass piece. That's awesome. Are you doing the lantern, or are you just grinding the normal rotation? You're almost free. Just normal. Got it from. Oh, really? That's crazy. I did not know they could drop them. Well, I will make sure. I mean, I would normally kill it anyway, but I will make sure I kill every single one of those little gremlins that show up. Every time, it's a must. Absolutely. The only time I haven't really chased them was at Kadri's. Like, I'd kill them if they were in my way. I had one little guy go running into the wall. I was like, well, you're not able to be killed. You're going Arsha. May the Schwartz be with you, man. Then again, EU's a bunch of life skillers, so you should be fine. Looking for a bit. Need to make lunch. Alrighty. Enjoy your lunch. Have a good lurk. We'll be here. We will be at Shroom Forest, cooking up a monstrous mushroom stew. Shrooms for every side. We got 16 minutes left, so probably in the next rotation or two, I need to offload my junk into the horse so that we can just continue grinding all the way till the timer stops. Quickly run over and go grab that buff. And, get back on for the second hour of this, of the, little food element thing here. But I am honestly can say I think getting the MP pod is the best decision I've made for going for the first, because that's the thing I run out of the most. Health pots I rarely use unless I am at someplace severely taking damage. I don't ever chug health pots nearly like I chug MP pots. So to have that first for me is going to be a very nice quality of life. I mean, I still personally partially believe in just buying normal MP pots when you need them, but it's the thought of if I want to go somewhere more, if I want to go somewhere a little more, dangerous, that's one thing I don't need to worry about. Ah, yes, 64. You know, if I could have spent all my time on one character, like I always kept trying to do, this would have been a lot higher. But I have a 63 Guardian, a 62 Ranger, several 61s. How to make it so far without pots? A lot of that is called, they didn't really exist back in my day. That's kind of a relatively newer thing for how old a lot of these characters are. And I mean, it was just simple. You know, if you played, back in my day, we bought, if we were going to a dangerous spot, like back when Hystria was dangerous, alright? So let's put this back into perspective. Back when Hystria could actually hurt you fairly hard, you would just take a ton of HP pots and go forth, have fun. Or you play a class that is self-sufficient. One thing Valkyrie has that, you know, specifically that some classes don't, is they have a large burst heal. And they've got 2 of them. That it will restore a ton of HP back. 2, Valkyrie has a second one. Right there. Which is another enormous heal back. So as long as you cycle those and your potion cooldowns, you're fine. And don't stand in red. And if you are standing in red, and it's a directional shot, make sure your guard's up if you gotta take the hit. Then, you know, for a while I played Wizard. Wizard does not need potions whatsoever. A well-trained wizard knows how to cycle his like 8 different heals. And with HP on hit on a potion, let me tell you how stupid this is. Throw your lava pool down in the center of one pack of mobs. Go over to another pack of mobs and cap them. If for some reason you are still taking that much damage, consider what you are doing wrong. Because as long as you're rotating your mana barrier up and everything like that, you shouldn't have been taking damage. So, I came from a very old school thought of we didn't have potions like that. But now with these higher end grind spots, it makes sense to have the infinite potions. Because I will tell you, when they first released the HP pot, I literally said on stream when it came out, those are useless and a waste of your time. For as little as you are going to use, why go spend all that time to get that infinite pot? Because back then, if I blew 100 HP pots grinding, that was a bad day for me. And considering 80% of the PvP I ever did was on the battle arena back in the day, as long as you had your fairies on stun and you carried the infinitely, like, what is it, 0.01 pots on you, you could run around and do whatever you want all day long and it would never matter. Guild Wars, I always stored about 5,000 pots in the region that I would be fighting in. So all I had to do is one quick maid grab and I could pull out a handful of potions and continue on fighting. Because my inventory was littered with other potions as well. You know, we had all the combat buffs and stuff like that. So, I had to use my weight sparingly. Plus, I had to carry some of the guild stuff, and that took weight. And had to carry a bunch of polished stone to repair the tower. That was always like a third of my inventory. Potions were like nearly half. All of them, and then... Now, I'll tell you, if you would have told me back in the day when I was playing Ranger that there would have been a infinite potion for MP, I'd have told you you're crazy and I need it. Oh my gosh. To carry one potion that weighs 30 weight, a Ranger would chug 200 potions in about 30 minutes or less if you knew what you were doing. So, yeah, that would have probably kept me on Ranger way back when, if that had existed sooner. Same with Dark Knight. Dark Knight I chugged quite a bit of potions on. Wasn't bad as Ranger. That I will admit. But I still chugged a ton of potions on Ranger, or on Dark Knight. Alright. This will be the lap that we drop everything off. But yeah, unfortunately, I've lost out on a lot of EXP grinding here. If I would have grinded Mirmok as hard as I did this, I probably would have been 65 by now. And there's still a part of me that may go spend maybe go spend 10 hours at Mirmok just to see. Once we get the MP pot done, I probably wouldn't mind doing that just to see what does my rate come out to. How much worse, if I give it some time, is the drop rate there? Because I don't have enough data to really say, because the data that I do have is pre-level 20 node, and I'd want a little more. I'd want a little more time on the node to understand exactly what's going on. All right, looks like we're on par for that. 26,000 when I drop off. Yep, I could tell you some stories. But I think if I would have stayed on the Valkyrie from the day that I actually rolled her, I'd have probably been near 68 on my Valkyrie. If I'd have stayed one class from the day I rolled Valkyrie, I probably would have been 68. Like, if they would give us, or have ever given us, a one-time scroll available to your account to carnivore one character's EXP, I probably would grab the Guardians and carnivore it just to boost it up. It would only probably get me 65 from where I'm at right now. But still, it would be a bump of my time reinvested. You know, like, I got all that time I spent grinding the Guardian back to 63. Because, like, nowadays, 63 is kind of a joke. Like, you get 60 basically in an hour, you get 61 in about another hour. 62 takes just a few hours of grinding, especially at Mirmok. And then, when you get to 64, it really starts slowing down, and then 65 and beyond, it really slows down. But I actually created this Valkyrie, was created the Tuesday before Ninja and Kuno released. That is when I created my Valkyrie. Because I was running the Valkyrie through a test grind area to check EXPs for the Ninja Kuno release. Making sure I had all the proper spots ready. And I had just gotten Kuno I think leveled to 50. Might have been 45 because it was whatever PvP ready was. I wasn't having it. Me and Narama were streaming that day. He was absolutely having an orgasm over Ninja. And I'm like, Kuno sucks. And I logged over, got back on my Valk, and the rest was history for quite a while. And that was the day I became one of the 2 Valkyrie streamers who streamed Black Desert. Me and Dark Crusade were the only 2 actually streaming Valkyrie at the time. And let me rephrase that. Consistently streaming Valkyrie. While Paladin did stream occasionally, it wasn't enough to count as actually streaming. you can't stream once a month and call yourself a streamer, and that you are consistently streaming. That, well, I mean, you're consistent if you stream every month, once a month. That's consistent, but it's not like, it's not enough that people would have noticed that there's another Valkyrie stream. And he was the superior one of us all. Dear Lord. Paladin was a step above us all. There is no other Valkyrie on BDO who can keep up with him. That I'm about 98% sure. I've seen some really good ones. Like, Zizdi was a phenomenal Valk back in the day. Didn't stream, but I definitely saw Zizdi running around. Actually, I believe it was Zizdi and Ozmir were the final two of the server merge tournament. And then Ozmir won by a choke slam. Zizdi almost had him too. That's the stupid thing. Almost had Ozmir done for the win. Okay, 16 seconds and then we need to call this, so we'll just finish this line. Okay, hour 1 is complete. Shop. Can't buff. Repair. Alright, hour 2. Oh, it's a 3-hour buff. Crap. Alright, that kind of changes how I might end up doing this. I didn't realize that was a 3-hour buff here. Did I read it wrong? I think I read maybe the cooldown was 120 minutes and the buff was 100? Or whatever. I thought the buff was 120 minutes. Well, we're here, I guess, for the whole 3 hours on this. I think. Not 100% sure. So we start hour 2 with 6 Atanis Elements. So still hanging true to that 6 to 7 ratio, which is better than, it's better than Garmoth's average. Because there are some people I don't think know how to data collect. So I don't trust that number. And so far, it's showing not to trust that number. Or the global average. I hate that I don't see my pings anymore. I do not know why I cannot see pings, because that my pet should be pinging that poacher. The pets are on, and there's things are set to have the ping, but it is not showing pings on the map anymore. I don't know what's going on with that. so far, we're looking pretty good for... I'm hoping for 7 an hour is what I would like to get the average run up to for the day. Oh, he's literally right here. Having combat EXP here would have been a little bit nicer, but once you get to where I'm at, it's not Mirmok level EXP, and that blows. I mean, to be fair, I'm also not running like all the Giga like EXP scrolls that I could be running. I'm more so just running that one to get something along the way. So that's more where we're at here. Plus I have like 100, or I had 100, just random 100% combat EXP scrolls. So there's 100 free hours of combat book, basically, without the skill EXP. But then again, I don't need the skill EXP anymore. It's worthless. Skill point EXP does nothing for me. I've got all my max weights. I've got all the skills I would need to get on the Valkyrie that aren't something you would lock or level. With everything else done, unless they decide to add in or more weight, that's the only reason to keep farming these is for the weight. So if they would like to add more weight soon, that'd be great. I have 241 skill points waiting for the next level 300. I mean, to be fair, if we really think about it, there should have been no cap to the weight. It should have been slightly increasingly harder to get and just an infinite count. Keep putting your remaining skill points into it. Well, I definitely didn't do that quest before defeating that chest, so... Thanks, game, I guess? I don't know what I'm missing out on, but we're missing out on something. Because I just came in and I was like, oh, hey, chest, let's go kill it. I mean, here's a genius, like, level plan. Don't spawn the monster until you've picked up the quest. Simple as that. Five-head, idea there? Don't you think, chat? I think it would be a wonderful idea. Alright, 4 in the hour. Now I get it's RNG, but I'm always trying to figure out why can I go 40 minutes consistently on several runs and never see one, but in like, it feels like there is definitely hot times when these things start dropping. Because I always tend to get them in bursts. Like, I'll get several in my first, like, 10, 15 minutes. Then I won't get any for, like, 30, 40 minutes. In those last 10 minutes, I'll get another big burst. It's not like it's really evenly dropped out per hour. Like, I get it. It is RNG, but there's still a little bit of this that's going, what's actually under the hood here that's making this feel so throttled? I guess would be the word to say. Because this isn't just normal. Like, okay, a great example. The life stones that drop. Those drop at a pretty consistent pace, and it matches its average. About every X minutes, you're going to get a drop. Atanis does not do that. Atanis does not drop every, like, 8 minutes like it says it should. Or whatever my drop rate is right now. If it was close to that, it would be a little bit more predictable. Especially for how many drop per hour. But the random disparity of 30, 40 minutes and never seeing one just blows me away. So who knows, really? Who actually knows? Because, like, right now, if I go the next 47 minutes and don't get a single one, sure, I've averaged 5 per hour. And I get it, that's how RNG works, but it's just weird how this mechanic is working. Like I said, it doesn't follow the normal drop rate rules that all the other loot drops are following. It's feast or famine when it happens. like, I got one in my first 90 seconds running around. So, obviously a timer hadn't started for me there. It was just the RNG of getting one right at the beginning of stream. So, who knows? Without breaking into the game's code, there's no way to ever really know how exactly that's laid out. Another analytic that's actually pretty interesting to look at is actually the balance of Kaphra stones per hour compared to other places. For the Atanis Element grind spots, this is actually, turns out to be one of the better ones to get both dust and Kaphras. This must be an event guy, because I cannot kill him. I get hung up on him all the time. So, like, there are other spots that have Atanis Elements that drop a few more Kaphras, but the Atanis Element is significantly worse there. So it's like, well, that would be cool, but doesn't work out to my favor of going for the item we are actually after, which is the Atanis Element. Kaphras are a bonus here. A great bonus. So I guess what I'll end up doing is at some point today, since we have this 3-hour buff, I will forego doing my Agris burn here. But just dump it. And I'll do that after stream. Probably I'll try to get over here an hour before an hour after dinner. I always try to leave just enough so that I can lunge back over with the auto aim. Not all the time does that actually work out. There has to be Valhalla Princess logging in and out, because I do not recognize half of those names. Has to be. So I'm curious, for anybody that has done the Polly's Forest grind, what do you do with your leveled Lemuria gear? Because it doesn't, unless it's plus 15, it doesn't sell for me. That's one that I need to figure out. Son, you think my fairy can absorb any of that crap anymore? Bro, that fairy's been smashed and maxed for an eternity. Oh, those were good days. Trust me, Fogan's was a prime time for me. Oh man, when I first got the fairy, I was grinding Fogan's on the wizard. I was so happy to be able to just quickly nuke all of that Rokaba gear that was sitting in my inventory during my grind time. Oh, let me tell you, the relief I had being able to just absolutely just shred tons of Rokaba gear that would never sell. It was great. Oh, I loved it. Now the fairy's like, I'm full. I don't want any more. And I'm like, but I got all this gear. She's like, I don't want any more. Could you at least still just consume it? I don't care about you gaining experience. Do you just want to consume this so I can get rid of this crap? No, I'm good. Good talk. So, unfortunately, I think what I'm going to try to do, and I don't know if it can be done with Lemuria gear, I may go to one of the Purification Priests and see if I can just nuke it for its Blackstones. I got nothing else. Like, I think it's just worth more to me in Blackstones than it is sitting on its own. And it may not work. I don't know. I know, like, heave and stuff can be done like that, but I'm not sure if Lemuria can. Somebody's doing something with the chest plates. People are buying the chest plate, and that blows my mind. What are you using this for? Like, are you using it for fail stacking? Because it's a blue grade item, so you think you're going to be able to get a little bit more off of it? Real men build 50 stacks on Reblath. Those were dangerous days, my friends. Those were dangerous days. Omen, are you OG enough to know about that, or is that too far past your day? Like, I'm trying to peg exactly where you are in terms of Black Desert. Okay. Back in the day, used to sit in front of Valia and buying Reblath. Okay, oh yeah, no, that was long gone at that point. Oh man, you missed a wild ride. So, I already talked to you about the negative alt thing, I think, in your stream. So, back in the day, we had a level 50 red alt, just barely red. Because there was a difference. You just needed to be negative karma so that you could, so that your gear could downgrade. So, you'd go, and then you'd have to go find somebody, and it was the most pathetic thing in the world, normally. You had to find somebody to come over and take off their gear, and be like, alright, let me just smack on you until I kill you. And of course, everybody knew what was going on. Like, hey, I need a player real quick. And so they'd come over, and, you know, you needed another level 50, but normally at that time, it was 56s, 60s, so you had to burn through some HP with no damage. Because it was basically just your starter junk gear, whatever you used to grind up to 50 with. So you'd get your little red alt, and you would enhance your Reblath, and when it went plus 15, you would store it in your inventory, run over to Valia. You had to now learn to kite the guards to get it out of your storage, which was a whole ordeal and a half. There was a very specific way you had to get up on the roof to do it, or else you'd get smacked by a guard, and then you could also run into the back to be able to get it. So then you'd go put on that said 15 gear, and then start dying repeatedly to the guard, reviving in town. And there was a group of guards right outside Valia that did a wonderful job at doing that. Until you had some random 5-head adventurer come rolling through, thinking that they were being funny as they proceed to kill you over and over instead of the guard. Bro, come on. And of course, they're just laughing and hollering about it, and you're just like, I cannot. So, Reblath was white gear. So put this in perspective. Green gear like Heave, and you had blue gear like, let's say, Lemuria. So, you would run over with your white gear, you'd get it downgraded, and then you'd go back and put it all in your bank and keep going. You know, you'd downgrade it maybe to like plus 10, somewhere around in there. You know, plus 11, or just a 14. You know, depending on what you were doing. If you were like really tired of it, you might take it to 13. Depending on what type of stack you were trying to build. Or also how degenerate. And we're talking, we would have tons of this gear. So, you'd have maybe 10 gloves, you'd have, you'd have basically 10 sets of armor, roughly, that you would use for fail stacking. But now, I want you to understand, Reblath had a higher chance of enhancing than Heave armor due to its grade. It would go quicker. Technically, by stats, it says it goes faster. Have you ever seen Peeve Reblath before? I have. It's a wonderful time. You can't get it anymore. They took it off the... I don't think you can buy Reblath anymore. Because it was a vendor item you could just buy without having to have Affinity in it. Or doing the Amity game. It was in Valia. I'm about 90% sure they took that away. Because now you just auto-consume. Now, look at this. You just consume blackstones and you build a fail stack. Y'all don't actually have to build a 20 stack anymore. Do you know how many stones I lost trying to build 120 stack on Reblath? Because we're talking violent, volatile ex-girlfriend, she's gonna go crazy on you type explosive RNG rate, all right? 1 minute, you take the stack up to 30 on Reblath, just absolutely smashing stones through it. And it was like, great, I feel confident. And other times, you were scared to go past +5 because it's like, I feel like it's gonna flip. I feel that spidey sense in the back of my mind telling me, my Peter tingle is saying, it's gonna flip. And sure enough, within a stone or two, it would flip. And then came the days of just consuming armor. You used to consume armor and it would build a fail stack. Then they just said, screw it, consume blackstones. So, things have changed quite a bit. But there will be nothing quite like those days. Now they've got the purification, priest so that you can just walk up and downgrade it with a, with an NPC, which was amazing. So that quality of life was huge. Yeah. Because let's be real. Who taught us how to do the negative karma alt stuff? The Koreans. Do you just think we just randomly like, oh yeah. No. The Koreans were doing it. Because that was the only way to build fail stacks back then. Because did the devs really think that we were going to go out and just zero tap a pen ogre? I mean, now I've seen the legendary video clips of people doing it. I'm not joking. Back in the day, before we had family fame fail stacks, it started on 0. And I've seen Tet Ogre plus Ogre go pen Ogre. Also, seeing the fail is also just as funny. But, yeah, the few people that rage quit and videoed that happening, it was an amusing thing to watch. So, yes, everything is definitely getting more user-friendly. Still a toxic system. I still think we're still missing a great quality of life, which I may end up holding out on my pen, doing my pen Blackstar Awakening weapon for. The quality of life that we're about to get next, that has been talked about, is chroning adding to your fail stack. So right now, if you cron something, it's just a painful oof. All right, it doesn't go anywhere. If you cron it, from what I understood, from what I heard, it goes up 1 fail stack now every fail. So even though, no, it's always been, as long as it has always been in the game since I remember, it was a painful +0. Because it was, the way the devs looked at it was safe. You weren't allowed, you know, it wasn't a rip. So, it had to come at a cost. You could safely enhance it, but it wouldn't increase your fail stack. So if you were to rip these things, your stack would build by, I think, like 5 or so. 5 or 7. I can't remember what Black Stars actually went up with. It could even be 10. I don't remember. It's been so long since I leveled my Black Star. But at least now, whenever this change comes, it's a +1 every time you fail a cron. Which now makes it feel a little bit better. Another change they really need to do is Tet and Pen accessories really need to start giving some serious stacks. This +1 when a pen accessory fails is disgusting. It needs to, if something is going to cost 10 billion silver or 50 billion silver, you need to gain a value in your stack. So if you fail, like an example would be, if you fail a just a pen gold accessory. Doesn't matter if it's Debo, it doesn't matter if it's a Seraph necklace. That gold accessory should still go up by at least, let's say, 10 fail stacks. So this way it kind of makes it worth your time, or 15, or whatever you could, you know, you could focus group your idea on what is fair for the system. That's still expensive, it still hurts, but you gain something for that tet to pen and try to tet attempts. You know, find a balance where you get an enhanced value from it. To +1, it just feels so bad. But it also comes from the days where we didn't really go past try. Like, it's still the original system. Like, when I'm talking about how old I am this old. Workers used to be what would process your plywood. I'm that old. I remember those days. You would hire workers to work on a workbench to process plywood 5 times per thing before we could process it from our storage. You could process it in your inventory, but this was before you could process it in your storage. I'm that old. I'm +15 Uria was the godly weapon of choice. Been there, done that. I didn't do it because I knew processing it was a better way of... Processing it, at least in your inventory, was better. And trust me, as soon as the maid outfit showed up, I did own the maid outfit. Scene right there. So... good times. Also, if you ever want to be angry at somebody for ruining a good thing, you can be angry at Micken and Biohack for ruining Heave. In Duvenkroon, you could buy Heave without Amnesty. And thanks to them consistently streaming it and promoting it on their streams, the two of them were doing some absolute degenerate amount of enhancing. They ruined that for everyone, and they took that away. Yep. You would sit there and watch Biohack for hours, making billions of silver an hour, enhancing all sorts of stuff. Also getting paid to rip pens. That was always fun. Somebody would donate and he'd rip a pen. But no, I mean, both of them were insane enhancers. And, that was how they made a lot of their, like, Micken was just a crazy life skiller to begin with. So was Biohack. But Biohack's big stream shtick really became his enhancements. So he would, you would sit there and watch 6-8 hours of him just smashing black stars, pen, whatever, accessories, you name it, it was all there. You would see it all in a day. And he and Micken both would stream that to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people a day. So it got around very quick that you could buy it up there. Because not a lot of people knew. Everybody was still kind of chilling in Valia doing their thing. Because Duvenkroon's kind of out of the way. How many people do you know that actually like, I love Duvenkroon, I chill there, my home base is in Duvenkroon? You don't. People are like, I'm in Calpheon, I'm in Valia, I'm in Heidel. And the reason they're in Heidel is because it's the center of the world. It makes sense. Yeah. And that's because it's such a long loop that they can run without bumping into each other. Because it's such a great long straight path for them to run. That's why it's only trainers. running through that city. It's such a long stretch. Well, the fish spot on top of, Hydel's always been a fishing capital of Black Desert. Outside of the Valia area, Hydel has always been that. And that's for one reason. It was the only thing that had terrapin at it. So you could walk over there, and that's how you made seafood pasta back in the day. That was one of the original Imperial turn-ins that were insanely contested. Like, if you wanted to turn in seafood pasta, you had to hit that thing right at an Imperial reset, or somebody drained it. That's, again, I'm that old that before they gave it to instanced for everyone, you actually had to compete for who got the turn-ins on the Imperial turn-ins. So nowadays, you can just walk up and slam whatever your contribution allows. Back then, you could still do that, but you had to be on a channel where nobody had turned it in, and during that Imperial reset. So when you see those resets pop up, it's still an in-game mechanic they've never taken out from the Imperial system, which I think the Imperial traders can still do, still have that. Like the ones that would do the trade items, or the fish ones. Those drain. But the Imperial food one does not drain. The food and alchemy one does not drain. That's an indefinite expenditure. So, but back in the day, you used to have to look at those for a hawk if you wanted to turn it in. And seafood pasta was a great moneymaker back then. You just needed I think you only needed like a fish note or two to get the octopus for it. So, this is a hard question to actually answer properly. There are things, if I could go back to a pre-awakening BDO, I think it would be a wonderful experience. It's why I went to Xbox, but it was quickly ruined with how they designed the game. They were rushing it to Awakening so fast. And they did the same dumb crap they did when they brought Awakenings. They didn't just give everybody their Awakening. They started bringing it out one at a time, making a big deal. This week, we're having the Warrior. So now the Warrior gets to be OP for 2 weeks. Now the Sork gets to be OP for 2 weeks. Now the Zerker gets to be OP for 2 weeks. You know, instead of just bringing it all out, blanket, here they are. The game would have been better off just to have done that from what they did. But they wanted to make this big promotional thing over the Awakenings releasing. It was stupid. They didn't even do the Destroyer of Dreams thing, which was dumb. Would I love to go back to pre-awakening and like plus 15 Uria type damage? Absolutely. Fights were fun back then. Do I acknowledge that in the last 4 years, since I really gave it up, have they done a lot of quality of life changes? Absolutely. There's so much stuff they've done that made life so much better. Yes, I am glad they've done what they've done. Do I like what they've done with the PvP system? No, they've turned this game into a absolute laughingstock of its former self. You know how it's supposed to look back in time and go, I'm you, but better? No, it's I'm you, but I'm that little snowflake child who needs a gold participation trophy and gold stars to feel better. That's what they've turned this game into. Like, karma has always been jacked up, and now it's even more ruined with being family bound. It's, they've ruined the Guild War system. Is absolutely atrocious because a couple people got spawn camped out because of being absolute toxic pieces of trash. They deserved to be camped like that. People don't just normally bully people that heavily unless there's a darn good reason for it. I had a darn good reason for hunting that guild down until they disbanded. We were grinding Pirate Island. I think we were like 58, approaching 59 that night. I think we were gonna get it the next day. It was me, Philo, a wizard, and we were grinding pirates. We owned, when I say we owned the island, we owned the island. The main rotation, you would not step into, or you got a deck from Iconic, Legatum, and Shadowcasters instantaneously. We did not care. We also ran around like this the entire time. I was nearly red the entire time on my Dark Knight. Okay? Does that understand what we're talking about? It got to the point where we had to take turns killing the random people who would jump in our spot. Because we were just staying at enough karma to stay just positive. We're talking positive 5,000, 10,000. To the point where we would tap somebody and then there was a back rotation that we protected that had about 5 packs of mobs that you could go fairly quickly kill and start working your karma back up pretty quick to get you just positive. And this was a rotation that if you heard somebody say, hey guys, I'm in trouble, it didn't matter where you were in the rotation. The honor was you hauled your butt back there because you didn't want your friend getting absolutely dominated. So you'd go back there and you'd protect him if he was getting, if somebody was trying to kill him while he was red. That night, we had 3 guys come in from a guild. They had recently added, in the last, couple months, they had added this feature called undeckable guilds. Or at least that's what we called it. It was to prevent new player guilds from getting run over by bigger guilds. Or what the game defined as, the game defined it as node warring guilds, I believe was the terminology they had used. Alright, so all 3 of us, we owned a node, Legatum owned a tier 3 node, and Iconic owned a castle. They owned the Hydel Castle. So, it was, we were all, I was friends with them, I'd spent, 70 hours with these guys already. We were friends. Back then, a lot of the friendships I have, outside of a few in Black Desert, came from Pirate Island. I'm not joking when I say half of the friends I know in BDO are from Pirate Island. That's how tight you eventually got with people, alright? Well, that night, this group rolls in, and they start trying to take over the grind spot. Now, let me remind you, it was a node war guild, a supporting siege guild, and a siege guild. You decided to walk into their home. We were already killing... No, this was before you, Aaron. Or right when you were just getting started. I think you were just getting started when this went down, because I had just rolled DK. Just rolled DK. We actually had these guys come in, and we were farming them. I mean, absolutely. We were shockingly full karma, and we were dunking these guys. And then we noticed their gear came off. Because all of a sudden, we started taking monstrous karma hits. Monstrous karma hits. And we're like, okay, so they've gone to this level of degeneracy. Well, I'm going to introduce you to a friend of ours. Our friend is called Crazy Jack. Crazy Jack was a wonderful man. Because Crazy Jack had a wonderful one-shot mechanic if you didn't have armor on. So, thankfully, Dark Knight has 2 knockdowns that we can plant their butt down. So our goal was then to start killing them to the Crazy Jack. Red alt or Red Karma player 101. If you need to get a kill without killing somebody, you killed them to a crazy jack. They were all over the place. You just had to time it right. To the point where, you know, we'd be sitting there, we'd be tapping them, and then one of us would go, all right, I got it. And occasionally we'd mess up, we'd kill them, and the crazy jack did nothing, and then we were red. All right? So, when that failed, and them losing EXP was not enough, we called Goji in. When Goji went -1 mil, the wizard that was grinding with us said F it, and he went -1 mil on him as well. It got so bad that night that we ended up calling in Legatum and Iconics guilds just to come in and try to do it. A few of the people brought their red alts, it wasn't enough. Alright, so I mean, it got serious for a little bit. They were still stubborn enough. We kept trying to figure out a guild. We spent 15 minutes in server chat, the paid chat, all right? Trying to find a guild who would deck them that didn't have a node. We finally found a guild to deck them, and I promise you, you have never seen somebody run so quick. The second that deck went through to their guild, and then all of a sudden you saw Iconic has decked whatever, I can't remember the guild's name. Legatum has decked the guild, and Shadowcasters has decked the guild. They all disappeared within seconds. None of us dropped that deck. Not a single one of us let that deck down until the guild disbanded. We pushed so hard, and anytime we saw them at Node, at anywhere, you name it, we got to the point where we were using the Black Merchant to hunt them down. One of the guys in Iconic had a system set up on his computer that was running a multi-box machine. He had an NPC, or he had a character sitting at on every channel that had in Valia that had the Black Merchant. So it was all the channels. And he would ping the names of these people, and we would find what channel they were on. And we would hunt them down and slaughter them no matter where they were. To the point, they disbanded. And we never saw them again. That's why they technically did that, is because we did stuff like that. But here's the issue. These people did not get the hint. They thought they were being funny. But they weren't. It really got under all of our skin because it's like, we owned it. We won every combat. It wasn't even close. When I mean it's like, you know when you pop somebody and it's a one tap and it's over and done with, even with their gear? That's what it had become. It was not a fair, balanced fight at all. So, unfortunately, that system changed. So to answer your question, also good morning, hello there. Oh yeah, no, we hunted them into oblivion. There comes a certain point where it's who are you catering the game to? The tree hugger or the actual hardcore player? There needed to be a balance of both, but at this point, the fact that I cannot deck a griefing person who comes into my spot, which was my only protection as a player who did not want to go red, I see no way to benefit that. It's either you out-farm them or you kill them in the spot. But here's what I don't like about the community's general thought process of this. What normally happens with these group of people is
They get you red, and then they call a friend who's significantly, and I mean, we're talking 8 to 10 times better geared than them. Hey, I got a red person here. And then it's the hee thing, and they come over and they slaughter you. Now, as a red player, your gear can downgrade. You can lose EXP. They bait you into this situation because they already are griefers at the max capacity. That's literally what they're there to do. Oh, you got Haran? Congrats, dude. So, to answer your question, I kind of want the old system back so that I can just safely deck a guild. And here's how this stands. Just make it simple enough to where it's... The deck only lasts, you know, 12 hours, and then it automatically disbands. You know, there were ways to protect that guild. But I can't just throw a deck up on a guild and say, get out of my spot, and I own it, and, you know, and rightfully fight them out of it. But here's what normally happens. So I deck that guild. Guess what now happens? Does anybody want to take a wild guess what happens? I'm winning. All right, it's clear. I'm winning. I've got him beat like 50 to 1. 50 to none even some days. More start showing up to defend the griefer. And now it turns into a GVG, because while I might be able, at the time able to handle 1 or 2 of them, depending on who it was, maybe 3, soon as 4 or 5 started showing up, then it turned into a absolute crapshoot. And then when you still dunk on them, they then call their bigger guild friend, and it became a who had the bigger friend. Thankfully, I held that trump card 98% of the time. Lazio was the best backup a man could have. The next best thing we had was Aaron. When Aaron came rolling in, the fight ended very quickly because nobody liked getting the hands from her. Good lord. You couldn't kill her. She was annoying as everything to kill. She set it up just perfectly for one of the high burst damage people to come rolling in, pop them, and let her go back to giving them the hands. They were rated E for everyone. That is so true. So, yes, to answer your question, Omen, there are things I would love to have back from the original time of playing. There's also a lot that they've done to make the game a lot better for newer players. A lot better now. So, going forward, I just wish they would come back to some of the old things that made the game great. A great example is yesterday with Demon. Nothing against him. Great Musa. Very well geared for where he's at. But right there shows you something that shouldn't be happening. I'm sorry. I get it. He's put in the time. He's put in the effort into his gear. But it shows you how imbalanced the PvP system is. He's coming in and wrecking out 282 DP or 281 DP as if it's a hot knife through butter. We've gotten to the point where AP scaling outweighs DP scaling infinitely. Now, he had a couple buffs that I didn't have, which is fine. But where is the tankiness that we were supposed to have? Where was the... where is the resistance? Where is all that stuff that we were supposed to have to feel strong, to make it feel like our gear is worth it? It was one of the whole reasons why I never leveled my gear to pen. Outside of wanting to take my main weapons up. Because to me, at that time, when I last really played, pen gear did not matter. It was absolutely worthless. to have. It was extra DP, sure. It was extra gear score. But when somebody 250, 260 could cut through you the same way as somebody 280, 290 would, why does it matter? If they're gonna literally one-tap you, one-combo you, why do we have this stat? They even tried to make the game where you couldn't one-shot people, to make fights more meaningful. And they're not that anymore. That's what I miss most about it. The fact that it wasn't just a one-sided, oh, land a stun and it's over. Land a down smash and it's over. Land a grab and it's over. That's not what's fun about this game. Everybody that plays now, or newer, misses the old days. They miss the days where we actually had a meaningful battle back and forth and it didn't feel one-sided. It didn't feel like, oh, I just got obliterated just one tapped. It felt like, oh, I actually, there was a great back and forth. Now it does not feel like that at all. It's, who can land the first combo that does the proper CC and the game is over. You have no chance of survival. You can't even force yourself to, wake up faster. You've got nothing. Once you're on your back with your legs spread, there is not a thing you can do. You wait till your character decides to get up. Well, build the resist. Can't build resist against everything properly. And only 65% matters. Yeah, they actually still are. They are still actually a thing. People are actually starting to build evasion builds now. A little bit more than normal. Alright, 1 more hour. One more hour. So, I mean, people are doing it. It's just... it's for specific things. But that's the thing is, does it even matter anymore? What's 500 DP gonna do against you now? Have we reached the point where AP is scaled too far? That we just obliterate everything? I honestly think they've got to go back and reevaluate how AP works in PvP. It's not about which class owns a grab, which class owns a stun. The thing is I believe they've catered the game to try to be suitable for everyone. Meaning, if you want to play whatever class it is, they all kind of do about the same thing. Back in the day, you had your speedy, go fast characters, you had your frontliners, you had your backliners. But when everybody starts doing a little bit of everything, you lose that speciality and the ability to, you lose that, I have a reason and a purpose for being this class. Not because, I know that I'm a terrible 1v1er, but you put me in a group and I thrive. Or I may not be the best group fighter, but let me pick somebody off and I can totally do that. I'm great at going behind into the back line and popping off the back line until I get found out. You had all these different niche things, but it feels like they've taken that away because your most effective means now is just ball up and kill things. Don't let anything into the middle of the ball. It feels so void. It feels like a lot of the skill got taken out of it. Now, you'll hear top-end players argue about the skill all day long here. I'm telling you from my experience, it took out the real skill of the game. To see somebody beat you on a class that was said to be trash, hurt. I remember one day when Tamers were memed upon. Literally the worst class in the game. They were so bad. People memed on the Tamer. Why would you ever play the Tamer? Other than you wanted to carry around the big dog thing. Outside of that, you never saw them. One day, I got my crap rolled by a Tamer. I couldn't be mad. I mean, I was disappointed. But I'll tell you what. I was more impressed with him, and I told them that after the little skirmish. I said, "You've impressed me, because Tamers are normally regarded as trash, and you just rolled me as a Tamer. Like, spot's yours, you deserve it, but holy crap. That's impressive." That was real skill. Because they knew how to manipulate the dog just right. That made it really hard for me to fight. And between their awakening and their non-awakening, it was really hard to fight them. Also, certain classes should have a matchup that is better or worse. You shouldn't be able to have... Like, as an example, back in the day, Demon should not have been able to beat me as a Valkyrie. Because his thing is speed and runs around and a lot of dashing. He's a poke character. Coming up on a Valkyrie should have been a death sentence for any Musa back in the day. They didn't really have a ton to be able to... They had to either get lucky and burst us down, basically burn our guard down. Or they had to have somebody assist in the kill. Now he just one combos me. He lands the stiffen, allows me to be hit, then he just one taps me. Because again, DP doesn't matter anymore. So that would have been a different matchup. You know, just like a warrior to a ranger. A warrior has the damage to absolutely annihilate a ranger. But a ranger has a grab that absolutely is threatening to any blocking warrior. Because if a warrior just sits there and keeps camping his block, no matter what buff he's getting while he's holding it, he's going to get annihilated when that ranger finally grabs a hold of him, puts him on his back, and gives him the delete key. Here, sir, I hand you Hakai. And it's over with. That's how we treated warriors back in the day. You're going to sit there and be the guy who does this consistently, throwing up your block. I'm going to be the guy who's going to run up on you with a ranger, grab you, throw you down, and you are dead. There is no coming back from that. Once a ranger puts you on your back, you will not get up in the time that happened. That was an actual matchup. But the warrior lands its stun, or any sort of CC, or grabs me, oh, I'm toast. I'm so dead. I have no way to get out of that unless I iframed it. And I had to be very careful playing my iframes. I think the issue is, though, it needs to be this way for where the game's at now. Siege is dead. Being in a siege guild here is literally just a buff. That's all it is. There is no value or honor in it. It's a political trade is all it is now. There is no honor because of how it's set up and done now. Owning a castle is nothing. It literally means nothing. The competition is too little in the game to be able to just take it on. It's not, it is literally meant for people who really spend no time working out alliances and trading in order to hold on to these castles. It's not about just being good and taking it on. It takes so much now to take one on. It's just like, okay, well, congratulations, you get your bougie payout of over $1 billion, whatever, silver a week. And you get your you get your increased drop rate buff for the area. So, like, there was no reason Man Up should have held Valencia for 35 weeks. 50 weeks, I think, in total is what they held it. But they held it on for way too long. It was such a political nightmare. Because they owned so many people. Hey, we'll give you Caltheon Castle if you don't attack us. We'll literally come do all the work except for you taking down the thing needed to win the castle. We will do all the work. And I'll tell you what, only 10 of them were needed to do that too. I was in many of those where Fusion or whatever their name was showed up. Make sure you have me mark I got a Marnie box. I believe it was Fusion was Man Up's alt guild. 10 of them would drop out of Man Up, join that guild, and you would see them go over and trade. Because if they knew they weren't getting a fight, they'd do that. But when they knew they had a fight, they were all there. And it was like you really needed to learn you really needed to pay attention to who was in Man Up. So that when you saw the name, you knew it was a Man Up player, or just knew the guild they went in. Then they got a little bit creative and started going into a couple different guilds during Node Wars to set people up for the castle. But I always had a system that could have solved that, but it never got to that. They never went that far. They were always too lax, because what if a newer player messed up? Well, then you're just SOL out of a guild for a week. It's that simple. So if Man Up wanted to sit there and drop their, 15, 20 of their great geared players at the time, they'd be hurting. And that would be your point to go, okay, Man Up's only got, 75 people in it right now. If we drop on them, we have a good chance with our 100-person guild. They're down now. We might stand a chance. It was never that. Because most of them could just show up. Oh, and if they were in the other guild, they would just be in an alliance guild. So it didn't matter either way. Because all Valencia and Medea became was B-Kill, command the gathering everybody to his ult that sat at the tower of whatever guild was arranged, and same with Valkyrie. Kept an ult at the person's base where they built it, and they'd command to gather. It would be down in about 5 minutes or less. Literally, you'd see siege has started, and then you'd hear the trumpets. Snake wins Medea, and then a couple seconds later, Man Up wins Valencia. That's how that went. For so many weeks. How fair and fun was that to the community? Where was the contestment in it? There wasn't any. And it was one of the things that I learned as I got into the Siege Guild for a little bit. It's just one political nightmare after another. The most fun we ever had were doing T1 Node Wars. And I mean, we're talking the old T1 Node Wars. That was the best. Sniping tier 3s back in the day was fun. Because it was like, oh, hey, random jackpot of money. Because we had to try to go after some of those that weren't really looked at that often. And it was just a bunch of people seeing if they could just win it. Occasionally we'd have some fights, and occasionally we would win, and occasionally we just logged off and said, yeah, no, that's a full guild. But now everything is equalized and balanced out so that your gear doesn't matter. It's whatever stats you have. But it makes it now more fair, according to their system, to play in. Which I'm sure helps out. I haven't ever participated in it since that system showed up. So I can't honestly speak on it. The full limiting of stats. That I have no clue about. And the sad thing to me, for at least for North America, is Cho Nation became the thing that they never wanted to be. They literally lived long enough to become the villain. They didn't die a hero, they became the villain. Cho was literally the one thing that could technically stand up to man up during the day. Because they got tired of seeing them stay in the castle uncontested. And now here they are with Cho and Chomies doing just that. Uncontested, staying in the Valencia castle. And if they do, if you do see it drop, I promise you, no matter what they say, they just gave it to somebody. Because that's part of the agreement. Oh. So there's your little bit of a Black Desert history course of ye olden days. One of the things that has always blown my mind was they never added added all the node wars and sieging stuff for all the regions. I was just so excited to start node warring in Kamasilv when that released. It never came. It never came. Like, to actually try to see people take the Kamasilvian castle. That was going to be great. Because here's what would have... This is the stupid thing of it. This would have allowed just this thing that we were talking about to change. As each region came out, it became a little bit more valuable for them. Which means the old king of the sand castle would leave and head to the new castle. To take over the next best thing. But they never... They tried some weird crap for a while where it was only Calpheon and Valencia and Medea could fight for castles. That was dumb. That took Serindia and Balanos out of it. That was a dumb move. When they got to the point of, you know, Kamasilv Part 2 releasing, that should have been siegeable. It would have been a really great fight to fight over Kamasilf. You know, it would have allowed now guilds who couldn't, let's say, couldn't really get a castle, could now start winning, let's say, Balanos. The Balanos people would have upgraded to Serendia. The Serendia people would have upgraded to Medea. Medea would have upgraded to Valencia. Valencia would have upgraded to Kamasilf. Well, then Drigan came along. Well, now everybody moves up again. One moves to Drigan. Now we get Mountain of Eternal Winter. One moves up to Mountain of Eternal Winter. Then you get, you know, Odalita. Odalita, you get them moving up. So it would have made sense to keep moving these guilds through these regions. Yeah, it would have brought a little more contesting, but it wouldn't have been such massive scale fights. There was no reason. The day that frickin' Cho finally took Valkyrie out of that castle, there was no reason why it took them 8 freaking level or max level guilds with 100 players each dropped to take freaking Man Up out of the castle. When they finally kicked them out that time, it was 8 guilds with 100 people each in it versus 1. You shouldn't have war scale like that. I'll tell you what, it was a great watch. You've never seen that many dots in your life, I promise you. It was toaster mode was even bad. But they took it from him. Because they got tired of Valkyrie owning the castle uncontested. Of course I get hung up on the tree. So, I would just like to see something changed with the siege regions. That would be a great quality of life, I think. But now they've got it to where if you own Calpheon, you're buffing Kamasilf. If you own Medea, you're buffing something else. It's like, no, don't make them actually have to earn the castle. If you want to grind in that area, get the castle for it. Which right now, the best castle to own, again, shockingly, is Medea once again, or Valencia once again, because of the lanterns coming in for Histria and Akhman. So everything you need to grind that's truly great and treasure piece, the castle buff really helps that out. Oh wait, there are normally all the people who have all that crap. Imagine that. They're just there for what, chat? Money. So they can keep failing their Tet Debo to Pen Debo enhancements. To once again become so geared that nobody can fight whoever owns that castle. Ugh. Oh well. Ugh. You know what, I'm sure if you went and talked to some of those old former Man Up players, they'd tell you a different story. Because they're going to tell it from their point of view because they enjoyed having said things. But then when they talk about how good it was, just make sure you throw it in their face and tell them, do you remember how bored you were? Because that's all you'd ever hear him complain about. Zethian, Vert, who else was streaming that was in Man Up at the time? Envious, you had Lakari, you had, Masilas, I think, who are the other Man Up guys that were streaming that were popular? There was a Zerker. I cannot remember his name. That streamed, that I'm pretty sure was in Man Up. I think, Morlin. That's the other one. He was the other warrior that was in. I was like, I know there was 2 warriors that were in Man Up that were normally held over 300 people in their chat when they would stream BDO. Was Silverback Man Up, though? For some reason, I'm placing him somewhere else. I don't know why. I thought of him, but I didn't think it was... For some reason, I kept thinking he was in somebody else, like Snake. Or, well, Vision or whatever their name was. For some reason, I thought Silverback was Snake. And he may have been Man Up, and that might be it. I remember there was a Zerker that would stream too, that was in Man Up. So, that might be it. Because I'll be real, I don't know the Snake guys nearly as well as I knew the Man Up guys. But those are the ones you could say, if you went and talked to them about their side of things, they'd probably all be like, oh yeah, it was a great time, blah, 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 blah. Then you need to throw back in their face how often they were saying on stream how bored they were. There was no competition. You literally outgeared yourself to where you didn't have competition. You had it, you just insanely outpaced everybody else. Your competition couldn't even compete. You were smashing pens when people were still struggling to get tet. You had the funds that nobody else had access to until sea monster hunting. And then y'all took it, they took it to a whole nother level. Some unheard of levels of payouts dropping at that point. And that was the death of Black Desert. That was when Black Desert died. A lot of people might argue it was when the guild boss thing came out. That exploit's what killed Black Desert. But I don't know. I think it was sea monster hunting. That's when the gap became too great between the Siege Guild, the people who did the sea monster hunting, Siege Guild people, and the rest of the player base. That made a lot of these arguments that you'd hear people talk about, that made a lot of these changes not make sense. The issue wasn't that X thing had whatever in their kit or whatever you want us to talk about the unit and its balancing. It was that a player was able to gear up so much higher above the other base player base. It didn't matter what their gear had, so of course it looked broken. Anything that has high gear versus low gear will absolutely look like it's grotesquely overpowered. But it's all an illusion or a smokescreen to what really the issue's going on in the game. And it always leads me to wonder, what would the game have been like if they had fixed the right things instead of going to the weird, some of the weird things? What would have happened if they had fixed the things that were truly broken about the game at the right moment? What would have happened if they'd stopped sea monster hunting before it got out of control? Before that months of damage got put into the game, to where it was, you couldn't roll that back. That was so far gone. There was no way you could say, yeah, we gotta walk this back, other than just cutting it off. Who knows? Who knows what would have happened to Black Desert? But overall, for what the game's at today, for how the general player base is held and concerned, I think you've all got something fun to enjoy for a while, but you don't take it serious anymore. You can't. It's not that type of... You can't take it to the level of seriousness we took it when we played. It's not year one Black Desert. You don't get that fun anymore. You get something different, which is fine. Your experience is meant to be different, and honestly, overall better. Would it help y'all understand some things? Yeah. Experiencing some of the things we went through back then would help give some players perspective. And there's a lot that are still here from those days. But a lot have forgotten about certain little niche details. Even I've probably forgotten about some. Tell you what, though, probably one of the best ones we ever saw. Was waking up and seeing half of gravity missing from the guild from them being permabanned. From the digging exploit. That was probably one of the biggest. Well, there went half of the geared player base. And then it was on that day Valkyrie became overpowered when he absorbed gravity into mana. we are down to 30 minutes. But we've gained 24 Atanis Elements so far, so that should put us at 234. Should be where we're resting. If I remember the title. I think it was 210 today I started it, so this should be 234. We just need 64 more Atanis Elements. Which, if it holds on this is 8 per hour. Which is still quite good. This I would definitely say would be a high. A high roll for the grinds. Which will be quite interesting to see this final hour finish up. Because that is 3 hours at 350% drop rate. And it's time tomorrow to go back and do some testing on the normal channels. Get some data with this just to confirm. And then I say it's, we'll be able to make a concrete hypothesis at that point. Like, I'm already 80% sure. 80, 90% sure, honestly. You could grind this crap with absolutely 0 drop rate and you'll get the same Atanis per hour. In the long-term average, you'll hit the same thing. I believe it's outside drop chance. I think it's its own drop rate. For how it reacts, it feels outside the drop rate. Whatever the loot scroll, the loot buffs, all the drop rate chances are, it's outside of that. And I'll confirm that, hopefully in the next couple days. Because if you increase your drop chance by 100% of what it normally is, you should see a drop, an increased drop on all the important things that you're looking for that are affected by that chance. We are not seeing that at all. What we're seeing is nothing more out of the normal means of the RNG aspect. That it is still staying in its own average of drops per hour. It's even at minimum or maximum, does not matter. Also, I may need to do the data collection later, off stream. And the reason for that is I might have to go grind all those alchemy stones down so that I can put these in there. Because I may have way too many to easily count. To make sure I get the exact number. Because with 3 hours, that is nearly a full blind page of alchemy stones. And it's hard to tell where they're at, so I'd rather just deposit them to get the number. So I need to grind down all like 200, 300 of whatever I've got, so I'm going to have to put them all in my inventory and leave my Guardian smacking alchemy stone dust. I probably could sell them for some money, because I kind of could use it. Especially after we got the 10 billion silver pre-order up last night. So, T-minus days and counting till I have boots. At some point, that pre-order will go through, and I will get my boots. And while we finish grinding out both Atanis Elements, we're not going to spend any money on Caphras. We're going to let it grind out naturally, whatever we get. And then when we finish, and we're done doing the Atanis Elements, I'll go ahead and Caphra 10 my Ergon boots. Unless I get my flame between then, and then of course I'll start slamming for it right away. Yeah, doing whatever I can to get it C10 so that we can get our new boots. So in the last 18 minutes, I would have to get 3 per hour. I had to get 3 more to get 9 per hour. Today from EX, Missilus Defender gear. Yeah, that's something. I got nothing custom module and a normal yellow piece. That's what I got yesterday. But that was yesterday's run, not today's run that you just did. I still have to do today's. Nice. That's really good. that just went all crazy and I couldn't control it. Naga's been really hard for me to get finished up. She's kind of suffering from the same thing Litter did. I could not get gear for Litter, and then all of a sudden it hit within like a month. I got everything for Litter, and then I've never got anything else. It's because they know she's best girl of the two, so they don't really want to give us more. Alright, I probably need to drop trash off here real quick. Alright. The final 15 minutes and then we're done. And this will be something to see. This will be a great chunk of data that I cannot wait to go over. Because this is as good as it gets for me. This is it right now. This 3 hours is the highest drop chance I can personally achieve without castle buff. And I'm gonna be real, I don't think it matters. If we were grinding something like Mirmok, I 100% believe we'd have been loaded with belts today. We'd have looted several belts at Mirmok. I think one of the only saving graces here is the Marnie box as a rare drop in the long term, because like last night we got a Duo Tungrad belt from it, so that was 800 mil added into my grind theoretically from here. Noise, Rapunzel, Tia, Litter, Summer, Niece, all have Tifa. See, that's insane. Your niece has that support gear. I cannot get Summer Niece to get geared. She does not have all of her pieces. That does not want to come to me. Now see, all my major core team is all done. The only one that's missing a piece is... I believe it's Red Hood's missing one piece. Red Hood's 2-4. Nice. Dailies are done. Nice. I don't know why they've been cutting back on burst weekends so much. Like, if you could have told me then that with all the burst weekends they were about to run, why are we about to, why are we going, yeah, why would you cut back if you were gonna run, you know, go to this whole, like, disparity area of never running them if you were gonna run so many in a row? I'd rather have them paced out just every other week, which is what they were for the longest time. Every other week was burst weekend, not this once a month crap that it's turned into. I would say I wouldn't say it's killing Nikke, it's... the whole purpose is they trying to get they squeeze them to where the whales still buy the gear packs. That's why that's done like this. But it still doesn't mean it sucks any less. You know? But I mean, it does suck for me, you know, where I'm trying to get specific pieces of gear now, and I cannot get it. And the only way I normally get it is through several burst weekends worth of running gear, because it helps cut the amount of time down. I'm looking for very specific pieces now. I need a piece for Summer Anise. Actually, I need 2 pieces, I think, for her. I'm missing her best 2 pieces are not on her. I'm missing a piece for Red Hood. I'm missing pieces for Scarlet. I'm missing... I think Tia's missing. Or Naga's missing one. I think Naga's missing pieces. Noise is maxed out. Volume's maxed out. The Helm. Because it's attack. I'm missing the attack stat on it. I think on mine, I got the chest and the boots. Like, units that don't, that aren't there for damage, their best piece is normally the chest and the boots. Units that do damage, their best pieces are gloves and helms. Because that has the highest attack stat on it. Yeah, I know. We were talking about that yesterday, which is you gotta get the stones to roll that off. Because she is bricked right now. Alright, just one more Atanis element. Let me be greedy in these last 5 minutes. For an 8 per hour. Yep. Not allowed, it said. Not allowed. Nice. Moving on up. Moving on up. Which, I mean, you don't really have to save boxes anymore. You're not at that point where it's gonna matter anymore for core dust. You'll be consuming that on cooldown at this point for the rest of your Nikke playing. So the difference in one box or two boxes difference of core dust will not make or break your account anymore. That's where most of us are at. Saving up to that point, yes. After that point, no. Might as well. There is no reason to not. Oh, we're almost to the end, chat. We are approaching the end of the tunnel for the day. Next stop, Grana City. We thank you for taking this flight today with us on Valkyrie Airways. We will continue this grind. Our next flight will depart tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. We will arrive at our destination at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please make sure to stow away your trays and bring your seat to the upright position. Oh, gosh. Just one more. The last 30 seconds of this thing. Give me one more Atanis Element. Alright. We're gonna cheat this curve so we can get the biggest bang for the buck out of this. Alright, we are in full bulldozer mode for the last 18 seconds of the grind. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we are done for the day. All right. That was a grind session. $92,000 trash. All right. Well, I'm going to start my ride back. Like I said, I got to go process a bunch of this stuff on my Guardian. So let's go ahead and get these streams wrapped up. I'll show this off at the front of the stream tomorrow. So for anybody who is wanting to see the data of what we just did in this 3 hours, I'll show it real quick. We got some pieces of gear. I got to go put an inventory of that crap up. We walked away with 16 truffle mushrooms, 10 windstones, 3 earths, 5 fire, 42 forest furies. We walked away with 175, 153, 169, 26 Atanis elements, 121 Kaphra stones, 318 spirit dust, and 92,480 trash loot. So that's going to make a couple bucks. And we ended up killing how many? Oh, and we got a Marnie stone. We ended up killing 8,000 polys between the time we looted that stone. So that's just a little over an hour and a half. So we'll pop this. We'll finish this tomorrow. Considering I did roughly half. So this will be done tomorrow for sure. So let's go ahead and wrap YouTube and X up, and then we'll go raid somebody on Twitch. So thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out. I really appreciate it. The grind will continue tomorrow. Yes, the grind will continue tomorrow, 7 a.m. my time, 3 hours ago your time. Appreciate you all coming and hanging out. It's been fun. And we'll see you guys tomorrow morning. All right, there goes.